Okay, we're back here getting everything finished up. You can see the ledger boards worked out really good. The boards with the boiled linseed oil looks fantastic. We got the end cap screwed in, and what I want you to look at is right here on the side too, how the end cap is not always going to be right to the top of the board. Don't worry about that. What's most important is this, where you can see on each one of those radiuses, that board is tucked in there really nice. And if you look inside the garden here, you can see that it's opened up that drainage port for us, okay? So it's gonna work out perfect. And it's the right size that as the years go by, the liner's not gonna slip through there. So here's the liner, and we manufacture these ourselves too. This is the BPA free. It's a food grade agricultural liner, so it's perfect for this. And we heat weld them and everything. There is a front and back. See, the side up right here is a little bit longer than this side. This long side goes to the front, the short side goes to the back, because the angle, it's a little bit longer there. So what you wanna do is don't open it up, just lay it in on the front or the face of the garden and get that pretty much lined up. And then as you open it up, what you're gonna wanna do is these are your stakes for your irrigation lines. Now there's 3 stakes that we use on the bottom, and there's 6 stakes that you use on the top tier. And so I always go ahead and place those on the round bar, and we're using them for a different purpose right now. I'm just gonna be able to spin those down, and that's gonna hold the liner open while you fill it with soil. So as you get that in there, and you're getting things situated, go ahead and take your time, make sure it's smoothed out a little bit, but you're gonna adjust this multiple times as you're doing this step. Now it takes 2 cubic feet of potting soil. I recommend sourcing your potting soil from a good independent nursery in your area. These bags are 1 cubic foot bags. Sometimes they're measured in quarts. So if it's measured in quarts, it's for the 6-foot wide gardens, it's 60 quarts per tier or 2 cubic feet. If it's a 5-foot garden, it's 50 quarts per tier. If it's a 4-foot garden, it's 40 quarts per tier. So what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and dump in the first bag. You want to fill it about halfway. And if you're using the stakes like we recommend, it works out so nice that it's just the extra hand that you need. Now, what I like to do is push that over to the ends, and then I'm going to adjust it again. I want to bring the liner up so it's pretty even with the front and the back, and go ahead and push that right into the sides. And the reason why I push it into the sides, it's harder to get the soil there. So let's go ahead and take the time to do that now. And then when we dump in the other bag, it's just going right here in the easiest part where it's clearly open. Do that. Just go ahead and fill it up. Now, these bags they're not always perfect. I would recommend getting an extra couple of bags to have, because the other thing that you're gonna notice is as you water this in, it's gonna settle. And that's one of the key things. You wanna make sure that you are keeping the liner full. The only thing that's going to break down that liner is UV light. That's it. So as long as it's full, you are not going to have an issue with the liner. But if you ever have an issue where it tore, or you accidentally got a hole in it, then you can always just call us up and get a replacement liner. Okay, so Those bags were definitely a little light. That's why I'm using this extra one, and it's always a good idea, as I mentioned, to have a little bit of extra soil. Now also you want to keep in mind, this looks pretty full right now, but I guarantee you when you water this in, it's going to settle. And you do want to water this in. Potting soil, it's what they refer to as hydrophobic, which just simply means it does not like to get wet. A good quality potting soil is going to have compost, it's going to have perlite, peat in it. It's going to have, the other base is going to be either peat moss or coco coir, which this soil has both peat and coco coir. And those are the two ingredients that don't like to get wet. So in this instance, what I recommend, once you get everything set up before you plant it, you want to really water this in, and you want to do that about 3 or 4 times so you can move the soil and you can see, okay, yes, it is wet all the way down. What normally happens with people is you'll flood it, wet it really well, and you'll think, oh, it's really wet, but you move the soil just an inch or so and it's bone dry there. So take the time to do that before you get your plants. Everything's going to settle in really nice for you. You'll be able to put in your plants and then top it off with the soil. Each season you want to top it off. Either top it off with your potting soil. Another great thing to do is, especially if you're composting, which you should be, add your compost to it. Because the plants are going to be taking all that out. Also, worm castings is another great thing to fill these up with as far as topping them off as the years go by. Now let's say about 3 years down the road, it's going to be a really good idea to, I like replacing the soil. What you'll be able to do is simply take out the screws for the end caps, take the end cap out, and you'll be able to slide that liner out, soil and all. So with that, we'll finish here, and we'll see you in a little bit.